When God decides to take me away from this world, I will go feeling satisfied because I feel that I accomplished the mission of what my parents taught me, doing what I want to do in life. Like I say, I feel so identified with this art. For me, this is an art, to tell people about how to give a flower, to teach people how you work the flowers. How beautiful and nice it would be for country folk not to forget what the earth is and what the seed is. To learn to grow the seed to the point where people can enjoy them, beautiful flowers for the world. The joy and the sensation you get as a human being is indescribable. For God to have brought me in the world, commissioning me to do beautiful things, to give joy to a lot of people.
Caminito amigo, yo también me voy. Desde que se fue, nunca más volvió. Seguiré sus pasos, caminito, adiós.
For the district itself, I would like people to support us, to come here to the district, because this is something that is very important for me, and that is the economy of the district. As you can see, the district is being populated at an amazing rate, very fast. The farmer has really no way of earning a living each week, because the farms are all becoming farms for tourism, seldom for cultivation. And so people take advantage of the festival so as to earn a few pesitos. And I like that part. But on the other hand, it's very difficult because the majority of people are, unfortunately, uneducated about how to handle themselves in the country, in the sense that when people arrive, people think they can treat the countryside badly, leaving it full of garbage, ruining the plants, and then just leave. The country is the country. You must love the country more than the city.
¿A qué huele una flor?
Huele a loción.
In Santa Elena, the flower is venerated because something particular happened here. At the end of the 18th and beginning of the 19th century, the farmers here, they burned carbon, they sawed wood, and it turns out that here we have always had a climate ideal for flowers. And so men sawed, burned carbon, and did some agriculture. They used to grow a lot of corn because corn was a fundamental part of our diet, but women were the first flower merchants, and so flowers were cultivated. The flowers taken to the city were small, such as the violet, the viola, the reseda, and the poinsettia. All these went to families whose little girls had guardian angels in their rooms with little vases. This is how it began, and then, when this went into full swing, the women then told their husbands, "Help us, because we're getting so many orders and I can't produce so many flowers." So many men quit sawing wood and burning carbon and instead focused on growing flowers. The history of the flower parade, for those who still don't know, started because of a protest by the flower sellers who walked from their Santa Elena district to Cisneros Square, the main square of old Medellin, now called the Square of Lights, what is today the Alpujarra sector. And so because of the flower sellers or silleteros protest, those who walked down the mountain, because before the flower parade there were already silleteros from the country who arranged flowers on chairs mounted on their back to sell in the square. My father tells me that the protest was due to the fact that the silleteros weren't being allowed to sell inside the square without paying a fee. And so they picked up their mounts and went to the mayor's office to protest. And because of that protest, someone saw them, and thinking, oh, how beautiful it was, they proposed a parade for the next year. The secret to growing a beautiful flower is to have a healthy cultivation. For this, we mix our crops. Even here, you can see that we have plants that we aren't going to use for the flower festival, but they are here doing a job. We have rue, aloe vera, we have citrodora, many plants that don't produce flowers but are protecting the others. What we do is we create an ecological balance in order to stop the use of chemicals. Thus, these plants protect one another, completing an ecological chain. If I just have one extensive crop, a pest will attack it because nothing is protecting it. A mixed crop has plants protecting one another. That is one of the secrets. I've been participating in this parade for around 31 years, and we've come around. Have you won? Yes, 3 times in second place and 3 times in third, but never in first. And maybe it's basically knowing that, knowing where to place the flowers is how you succeed in placing it on the mount that day, because knowing where each flower goes, which ones are placed early and which ones are placed later. That matters when the time comes to designing a flower mount, so that at the time of elaborating one, it's properly distributed, colorful, and made so it looks like it did in your mind, because you have pictured it since before starting the process. And so for me, this part of the process is important because it matters at the moment of doing the job. And, I repeat, you must know which flowers to place first and which ones to place later, so that the result is pretty and harmonious. This matters the day you do the job.
Boston, Estados Unidos. Agua, la Plaza Flores. Eso. Múvelo. Oigan, qué rico. El sabor tradicional. Píchelo.
¿Que sí? Bueno, les recuerdo entonces, miren, nuestro modelo tiene unas ganas.
Yo me encomiendo siempre
I always trust myself to. I'm very devout to the fallen Lord of Girardota and to the Holy Virgin, and by my own vocation, and through the teachings of my parents, I always ask God to give me the strength and intelligence to work and to do things well, because I've never in my life been one to think bad thoughts. My mind has never been spent on bad thoughts or on harming my neighbor. I come from a beautiful ancestor, and it's like you don't understand how the human mind, how there is people who only think of harming others when it's one of the beautiful things. Just look at the plantation, look at the flowers, and feel the environment and the tranquility. This is what we humans must feel with others: environment, tranquility, and care. This is what I invoke in life. There are flowers that have very weak stems, and since I choose a flower mount for the parade in which you place them loosely, when I place them on the mount, the stem doesn't hold. So I can't work the flowers in such a way where I nail them into the foliage. That is why I use some pins and little sticks with some wire in order to make some bouquets with these flowers. And with a stick, I embed them, and that way the flower looks nice and will be able to hold where I need it. These are the flowers with weak stems, and so this is the way one always works with them. In preparing for the parade, the person is important and must be taken into account. You must always be 100%, either physically through diet or with how you feel, to not feel upset and avoid problems that can always prop up suddenly with work and in creating the mount. Preparation for me is basically about two things. One is diet, and the other is mental, which is essential. That is where being physically and mentally prepared comes into play, so that you are ready to do what needs to be done in one day, one night, and then the next day when you do the parade. That part is very important to me because it demands a type of preparation as though you were preparing for something as important as a worldwide event or a sport. That is the essence of a flower seller or silletero. One is representing the ancestors that forged these mountains, and therefore you can't even show exhaustion. And some even say to put wheels on the flower mounts. Never do it, because you will lose the essence of what is being represented.
De lo que está representando.
The orchids are a flower that are, let's say, that everyone knows is the national flower. It is Colombia's flower. The orchid always represents us to the world, and so everyone, as a silletero, must take one, even if it's just to display, because the orchid for me isn't just exotic, beautiful, delicate. It is a flower that represents us to the world, and no matter where you place it, it's beautiful, whether with something else or by itself, so that's important. These orchids demand a special handling. They are, let's say, the last stitch you place on the mount. It's a special night for all those who come visit, as well as for those who are from this community to enjoy. People from the region, family, friends, neighbors, everyone convenes in order to accomplish one mission, to look at and create the flower mount, silleta. And that for me is very important, because it motivates you to know that what you are doing at least brings people together and are enjoying what it's like to be around flowers, which I believe is special. Because a flower is peaceful, happy, to be around something that means so much to me, because flowers can show us about life. Flowers always have life, and when you come to understand your company, which is the joy of many things, and something that means so much to this region, to be authentic enough to carry a silleta for this municipality. This mountain was forged with a silleta, and this district was created by our grandfathers, our ancestors, who carried flowers on the silletas to Medellin. That's why I think this tradition is beautiful. That's why I'll continue fighting as long as I'm able. I have several youths that I'm leading on the right path, I would say, even if people think that I'm not. This is a good path. When I was young, I used to listen to the elders talk, and you would listen to their advice and teachings, and that's what I'm trying to give these kids today, and trying to do so in an important way that exists today, and that is through example. One takes an adult, like me, with all the years I have now, and I set examples. It's the little seed that I will grow, and as she grows, she will start to let you know what you should give her, what she needs in order to flower into a beautiful flower. Human beings are just like that. If people can listen to advice and let themselves be led, when they grow up, they will earn a decent living. And for me, those are the things they don't teach in schools, but they can be learned at home with the family. Those rural families of old that used to educate you in that way. And a lot of times we don't. Our parents didn't do what is done today, to educate with caresses. They used to spank us, but we learned. Unfortunately, many kids teach their parents irresponsibilities. Therefore, you need to know how to talk so that you're listened to. Because if you scold kids nowadays, they won't attend any conferences. They won't learn how to plant a seed. On the other hand, if you motivate them and tell them and show them, like I mentioned before, and with proof that if you do things well, then tomorrow you will have a future. I have practically dedicated my life to that, to practice beautiful things each day in the field, and those beautiful things that turn out well, I teach. I teach them to the people who will stay in this countryside when I'm gone. It is a very important and beautiful thing that I would like to leave for my grandchildren, for them to come to this countryside to plant flowers, to cultivate flowers, and to be motivated to do this. Those who love the life of the country love life, because the city is about modernism, a lot of overcrowding. I mean, we need modernity. We need to evolve. Evolving is important. But I believe that the country also evolves. There is also modernism. But it evolves to the point we want it to. We respect the country because it gives us tranquility and the products that the earth itself gives us. To be continued.